Welcome to this video on the news that Paramount has signed a deal with the UFC for the TV rights for the US for the next 7 years starting in 2026. I want to break it down, get into some of the detail of it and sort of what's this worth, what are the problems, what are the benefits of this for fighters, fans and the rest. So getting straight into it, obviously just straight into the details. I've just said 7.7 billion for the next 7 years, valued at 1.1 billion per year, which provides a nearly doubling of valuation from the ESPN deal that they've just had. I believe that was around 500,000-600,000. So around about, you're getting way up there above where you were before. Great for the UFC, obviously great business deal. All 43 UFC events annually will be exclusively available on Paramount for US customers. And key one, no pay-per-view model in the news that was announced. Making all UFC events available for Paramount Plus for subscribers subscription, which is a monthly fee, sort of similar to a Netflix or the rest of it. Here in the UK, I believe we have Paramount Plus as well, and the US obviously clearly has it, and it's quite cheap compared to what the US is currently paying, which is a pay-per-view model, which is a good $50-$60 at least for these numbered events. Whereas the UK, where I am, have already had this model in for a good while. TNT, who used to be BT Sports, TNT Sports now, basically are a sports subscription. So you get your football, and included within that is your UFC. And basically you can make your packages however you want, in a sense of it. I'm guessing similar to a Paramount Plus in the US. You can add on, you can take off, and the UFC is one of the things you can add on. So basically, pretty much, I don't know, but I believe from my research is that every UFC where you can watch the UFC now is going to be a monthly subscription. There's going to be no pay-per-view model at all, which is sort of the where the wind is flowing in sports in general, and these pay-per-view model sports. They're realising that actually I can get more fans. If I can get more fans, that monthly fee will actually determine that if I 10 times the people watching and get people buying tickets and events and all the rest of it, and part of the reason they're signing up is for the UFC, and I get a load more subscribers, that £30 is, or whatever it is a month, is well worth it, and the add-on won't be an incredible amount more per month if they've already got something. So it's sort of a nice little add-on to what they've already got. And Paramount Plus will also get subscribers purely based on the UFC going there, because obviously people currently pay pay-per-views and things where they'll go, right, if I haven't got Paramount Plus, it's cheaper anyway. I was paying pay-per-view anyway, so let's buy 13 numbered events plus 30 fight nights per year, which I believe, I haven't quite done the full look into how many we've got currently. Sounds about right. Sounds basically what we've got now, from what I can tell. ESPN started in 2018, going to 2026. Paramount will be taking over the US rights. I know, obviously Netflix was touted in there. A lot of other big names, obviously ESPN touted in there as well, obviously to re-sign a deal. But Paramount made it happen, and obviously a big figure that it's massive, to be honest. It's a massive figure that really shows a want to get into a sport and want to get into and fight against the ESPNs in the US for sort of dominance in that region. But again, getting to the fan perspective of this, it's incredible. Firstly, it'll bring more fans. Secondly, the fans that are already here will be paying a hell of a lot less. And bringing in them new fans is incredible for the sport. Really will allow the UFC to do bigger and better events with that, because their live events will get more showings. They'll be able to fill out bigger stadiums and overall their revenue will go up because of this, because they've got more people watching, turning into fans from having a Paramount Plus subscription, and then going forward from there. The pay-per-view model really does stranglehold the fans you gain, because you're sort of getting people into going, I have to buy a £60, £70 or dollar event for one night, which is a hell of a lot of money, to then see the big names that'll make me a fan, which is the real key problem they've currently got, which is why a lot of these sports, WWE as well, going from a pay-per-view in some aspects to a fully monthly subscription. I think the key other side, well, there's two other sides I want to go through. How will Paramount make back the 7.7 billion, and it will be spread in some way. They're not just handing 7.7 billion, I would guess, to the UFC. It's 1.1 per year. That's a billion. That's what they'll probably hand over per year, or in a cycle of payments. Overall, it's a massive change to the whole sport. But how will Paramount make that money back? Can we, with their monthly subscription amount, how, they're going to have to get a hell of a lot of people, which doesn't really fit how much they'll actually get of new fans just from a UFC to actually pay that much, in a sense of it, because 1.1 billion a year is an incredible amount of subscriptions you've got to gain in the US. And the US is a massive market, don't get me wrong, but that seems large. But and this is why I've sort of done it later, and I don't think many people have ever got into this. Paramount is a business, and a whole private business is for one purpose alone, is to increase shareholder value. The shareholders own the business. They want to get money out of that business with their shares. And the shares of Paramount went up 33% in this, literally as I'm recording, yesterday, pretty much all yesterday. In the last week, it's up 33%, and pretty much gets them on a clean level with when they first went public trading. So it's a big thing, and I've done some quick calculations going, 33% out of there, it's 675 million shares that are public. You've basically increased your share total. If you value your shares before 33% and after, you've gained 2.459 billion, roundabout, something around the 2.5 billion mark. 2 to 2.5 billion you've gained in the last day or week, say, after this deal's been announced. And that will be a major part of this deal being made, is that Paramount have clearly done some research, and we go, 1.1 billion in additional revenue a year. And to be honest, it's not even revenue now, that's got to be some type of profitability on top as well. So it's more than 1.1 billion a year in additional subscriptions you need to pay this off. And look, the shareholders think, and sort of the market and Wall Street and all the US market think they are way over. This is an amazing deal financially for Paramount, is the key message the market is sending financially when it goes up 33% in nearly one day after this deal has been announced. So sort of the deal got announced, the market didn't really move, and then yesterday it just moved massively, which is sort of a bit of a has some detail come out, has some people on the market sort of worked out how much they would expect increased shares subscriptions to go up, and actually that's way over the necessary requirement for this to work. And actually they go, that's going to make a massive amount of money. There's an investment opportunity here, which is great for Paramount. Obviously they've got to keep that share value up at that level to really make it work, but overall the fact it's went up that massively, I expect a decrease of some sort. 33% in a day is incredible, but look, it's an incredible and massive deal that they've made. And look, there is obviously clearly some outside of Paramount market, sort of big US market interest that shows that they believe it too. They believe this deal will be massive for Paramount and will increase their revenue massively above what they're paying, which, you know, means in a sense they've got a good deal. To be honest, it's, you know, look, we've got to see. But Paramount shares have been not performing great before this. You know, if you look over the last few years, it's sort of, you know, you're only just getting back to when the amount when they were made public, the share value when they were made public. So this is exactly what they needed, and a huge boost for shareholders. And look, sort of pushes the interest that they'll try to do more of this with other sports in the future. They'll be trying to be a big player in the market. Getting into the last and one of the more important groups in this is the fighters for the UFC. What will change for them? And I don't think much changes for 90% of the UFC fighters. I think it only matters where their contracts, and this will be more for champions, key, where they have pay-per-view points, and it'll be very big stars or, you know, former or current champions. Really is, you know, probably the large majority of that. I would guess currently with their contracts done, dusted, signed, any pay-per-view points that they won't get, they're going to have to be compensated in some way other than that to get their contracts whole. And I think that will happen, because otherwise I don't think the UFC, after this massive deal, got all this done, Paramount being happy as well, they don't really want any bad word around this deal, so they won't even try to, you know, sort of shorthand people with pay-per-view points, how much they were earning, because again, they don't want to be going to court with someone going, I earned this on pay-per-view points, I should have earned this, XYZ, that's sort of my level of compensation, I only got, you know, whatever, a tiny fraction of that. That's not fair when I've signed a contract. They'll compensate, and I fully overcompensate even, to make sure everyone's happy and there's no bad words around the early stages of this deal. Because yeah, that's the key. Because some of these contracts may be going for, you know, there could be a 5-fight deal or whatever, where, you know, in a sense it'll be going into 26 or even 27 for some people if they've just signed one. But look, I think they'll be happily compensated for that. It's more about in the future what happens with their contracts, because pay-per-view points will not be a thing anymore. Will that just be pushed into their standard payments, or in some form of a different payment for them? I think it will do. I think it will just be an increase in some manner, and it'll probably be based on viewership or you know, because that'll allow advertisements from Paramount and things like that. I think that'll be it. It'll be on views, because in a sense that allows the UFC to go, my value is still there. And that'll be key. I think the way they have to do that, they'll have to sort of set a benchmark and all this stuff. But again, they've got many more smarter people than me to tell them how they're going to figure out how they change a pay-per-view model to a view model of payment for champions and things. But I think it'll be something around that. It'll be something around views or viewership or social media, or who is top of the view list or whatever, and it'll only take a few events to get that really nailed down. And I think, look, overall this works for everyone. This works for fans. I think fighters are the only ones that I'm sort of cautious about. We don't know enough yet, but look, with the near doubling I think of your US rights deal from the ESPN deal we've been on this year, and then next year suddenly you go in nearly doubling it, only supports it. And Paramount, you know, having their massive increase in share price and their shareholders being probably mighty happy with that, and look, the fans being mighty happy with not paying pay-per-view prices of, you know, how many, like $50, $60, $70 a pop. It's incredible, and it will be, and this is the key factor, if boxing do not move towards this type of model, they will be left behind by the UFC. The UFC is a major competitor for boxing and fans, and this will start gaining UFC fans majorly compared to boxing will. And I think the key thing is, what do boxing do next after this announcement? I think they will go to a pay-per-view model. And suspiciously, and maybe me being skeptical, some of the big players, ESPN, Netflix, all them guys, they obviously, Paramount is sort of something we didn't really hear about, to be honest, before this deal was made. Does that mean one of them other big guys are actually taking boxing as their thing of, it's probably going to be a Riyadh season or something like that. It's going to be the Turkey Al Sheikh. That's who you want to buy, really, in the sense of it. And will that be the way it happens, and the reason some of these people left the UFC deal or didn't put up as much money as Paramount did? Likely. I think there's other things going on in other sports where this is the next big move in these fighting sports, where pay-per-view will be removed and into a monthly subscription it will go. And I fully expect boxing is the next one to go. And please let me know in the comments who you think will purchase that, because that'll be not 7.7 billion. That'll be worth a hell of a lot more, I believe. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.